Okay, so here we are with science. You'll need your science book. You will need your flour and orange juice on your paper plate. And when I took it out, it was very crunchy. It's very cold. I see a lot of, you can see frost on my flour. See how there's frost on it. And my orange juice, doesn't come out. But I need you to see what I saw on my plate. Now, I shook my flour outside to make sure I didn't have any stowaways on my flour, but you need to see this. Look, can you see? Hold on a second. Where is it? Ah, there it is. See that? That's an aphid. There was an aphid, a little bug that likes to eat flowers, on my flour, and it tried to crawl off, and it got stuck. It got froze. So it's frozen. I wonder when it thaws if it'll fly away. I'll have to keep it outside to see. I don't want it inside. So everything's frozen. So now what we're going, oh, they don't look very, it's not as perky or it's kind of lifeless now, isn't it? Poor flour. I'm sorry. I told you this was for science. Okay, so now what we're going to do is fill out page 82. And it says, take the solid and liquid out of the freezer. Did cooling cause any changes to the solid or the liquid? Observe them both carefully. Record any effects you observe. So everyone's is going to be different. Obviously, for the liquid turned to a solid. So you can just write turned to a solid. Okay. And then the flour, it's frozen. It has frost on it. Frost on the stem. On mine. Yours might be different, but the petals are limp now, right? The petals are not as stiff as they were before. So the petals are limp. They can't hold up on their own anymore. It didn't freeze my petals solid like it froze the orange juice solid, right? Okay, so then step 4, analyze your results, identify causes and effects, look for patterns. So make a claim that answers your question. Our question was, what happens to different materials when they are cooled? So you're going to describe what happens to your materials when they're cooled. The liquid turned into a solid, and the solid was not as solid, right? My petals were not as stiff as they were before. And then tell me what the evidence is. So my orange juice won't spill, right? It's solid, and my petals are limp, okay? So fill that out. So you are going to describe what happens to materials when they are cooled and then what is your evidence? You're going to tell me your evidence from the experiment to support, sorry, your description. So what evidence do you have to support these two? Okay, so tell me what happens when they are cooled, and what is the evidence you have to support how you described them when they came out of the freezer. Okay, so that's the end of our experiment. Now, I would suggest throwing the flour away. The orange juice, you can wait for it to thaw and you can drink it. Or if it's in an ice cube tray, you can take it out and put it in a little cup and suck on it and things like that. When I was a kid, what we used to do is we would take if you have an ice cube tray, we'd take an ice cube tray and we'd fill it with orange juice or lemonade or some kind of juice like that. And we'd put saran wrap over it, and then we'd take toothpicks and poke holes in it. And we used the saran wrap because that would hold the toothpick up, and we'd put it in the freezer. And we'd wait until overnight the next day, a few hours. We'd take it out. We'd have little mini popsicles. So that's something you can do. Okay, so let's look at, we're also going to be doing page 85 together. This is our Can You Explain It after we've done the lesson. Okay, I know it's the same page we did in the beginning, but we're using the knowledge we've acquired from the lesson to help us explain why the crayons melted. So it tells you what you need to do with these bulleted remarks. It says, tell whether the crayons were heated or cooled, describe how the crayons changed, and explain what caused the crayons to change. So, tell whether the crayons were heated or cooled. So, the blow dryer heated the crayons, right? We know the blow dryer heated the crayons. And describe how the crayons changed. This caused the crayons to melt. Okay. And then the last one says, explain what caused the crayons to change. Well, they were solid. We know the heat caused it to change, but how did they change? Okay, so they were a solid, they turned into a what? A liquid. So the crayons changed from a solid to a liquid. Okay. And then you will be completing page 86 and 87 on your own. No parent help. You can read lesson 3 again to help you out. Go back and look. But please try to do it on your own. It's a self-check, not a me and mom self-check or me and dad self-check. Okay, it's a you self-check, meaning I want to know how much you know. How much did you learn from this lesson? Okay, so that is the end of our lessons. That's the end of our videos. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.